attention to the housing deficit in Nigeria, which is a pressing issue with the estimated shortage of 17 million housing units in the country. Now, this situation is further increased by rapid urbanization, population growth, and inadequate housing policies. Now, tenants now struggle to find affordable and decent houses because some landlords take advantage of the shortage to charge exorbitant rent and impose unfavorable terms. Now, real estate agents will facilitate transaction also contribute to the tension, particularly if their fees are high or their practices are perceived as unfair. Now, addressing the housing deficit in Nigeria requires a multifaceted approach that involves government intervention, private sector participation, and innovative financing solutions. Now, joining us for this conversation is a policy analyst, Yusuf Harun. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you.
Well, I saw your post on the social media, and we have many bloggers that carried that particular post. Let me quickly read this one. This is what you said in that particular post, that I and other tenants have been paying 1.3 million naira as rent for the past 3 years to cater for the housing stock in the country. Now, landlord visited recently without the idea of the caretaker who decided to plead that you were pleading with him that he should reduce to about 1 million naira, and lo and behold, what he was giving the landlord is about 500,000 naira.
Yes.
At what point did we get to this level that we have this landlord, tenants, and agent relationship becoming so sour at this time?
It is even worse than how it was presented, because in our society there's no strict regulation on housing, renting, landlord, and also caretaker. This thing that happened has happened to many people, and I've received many inboxes reaching out to me on how we can solve this. But I tell them I'm not a government, but I'm an advocate for good governance, and I also use my platform to talk about how we can correct the ills in the society. I believe that it's been a very long time it's been there, and most especially in Lagos State, it is very, 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 very critical. It's really at a stage where the government has to intervene to solve this problem. It is something serious. Another one that happens is where a caretaker allocates a house to multiple people.
Well, we've seen
all that one. Now, this one, the caretaker is now taking the position of the landlord, even getting more money than the landlord. And it was alarming. That was why, when I even posted it, it was on a Sunday afternoon when it's the rest day.
And it blew up on the internet.
It blew up. Tunde had not posted it. Linda Ikeji posted it, Instablog, and many other more. People were even sending me this post. It was something which was just organic. It was something I did without even knowing it was going to go this viral. And later I saw it had over 1.3 million. And even lawyers were reaching out to me like, where is the location? We want to do something. And people reached out to me like, okay. Some even started making me like a lawyer, like, okay.
Which is where I want to go to first. You know, you said you're an advocate.
Yes.
As one who is playing in this, because it's a very critical issue, frankly. Absolutely. This is issues that is biting the feet of a number of persons who are tenants in different, properties around the country. Are you working with enforcement agencies or lawyers or government, as the case may be? Since now you are kind of like the middleman who interacts with the victims, and you should have some persons who work. Do you have that?
Now, even when I was coming, my own family advised me that please don't mention names or don't.
You needn't mention any name, but.
Okay. So presently, I don't have a government agency, but I am willing to work with the government to serve as a mediator between the masses and the government. And also the lawyers. But I'm also being careful because I know many people want to take advantage of a viral story. Another one I posted, maybe another day we talk about it, is child abuse or child misuse. That also went viral just a few days ago.
Just a second, sir, before you get to the child abuse issue. Now, before any tenant moves into any property, assumably there should be some kind of a tenancy agreement, right? A document that both parties sign, right?
Right.
Now, if the right of a tenant is infringed upon, can't he stand on that agreement signed by both of them to go to court?
This is a very, very good question. And there was a senior person in Lagos State that told me that unfortunately in Lagos and Nigeria in general, we don't bind by agreement. It's so unfortunate. What you said is very critical. We have an agreement, a written agreement, but people don't work on the agreement. That is, what you said is beyond even just how it is. They don't work on it.
They can seek alternative by going to court.
We know our court,
such,
yes, but we know our court will take
agreements.
forever before they would give a judgment. The courts will keep adjourning.
Okay.
And some of these caretakers, they have a way of also maybe getting good lawyers because they've gotten fat money. Like one of them in the post was like, how will he retrieve over 2.4 million naira back? So these caretakers are equipped financially to get good lawyers to defend their illicit acts.
So it would look to me as if it's an open market where anybody can do
Absolutely.
anything.
That is how it
Now, we're
is
still
now.
on the tenancy part. We know the landlords also have their own balls thrown at them by the tenants. But what then can we do to secure the tenants from being bullied by either caretakers or even landlords themselves?
Okay, I would give a good example of two different countries I lived in as a tenant, and that is USA and Saudi Arabia. Number one, they pay monthly. In Nigeria, landlords will even want to collect 2 years. Also, in these countries I mentioned, they have agents or caretakers that also mediate with the tenant, but it is in clear black and white. If you have to pay $100, it's clearly $100 plus tax and other things. But in Nigeria, it is not clearly black and white. People don't follow the rules. So that is a problem we have. So yes, I am using this medium, this opportunity, and my own platform on social media to advocate that the government has to come in to create a platform that will be favorable both to the landlord, to the tenant, and also the caretaker.
In fairness to the Lagos State government, they're working toward this.
Towards
They've done a lot
that.
in that area.
Even the former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Rajafashola,
did a lot there.
Did a lot
Yes.
concerning this issue of housing deficits in the country. But are you not worried that with that's your own particular case that you raise on the social media, that there are a lot of tenants in that particular crisis where you see land agents siphoning money from them and it's not getting to the landlord?
Absolutely. You see, in my inbox now, after that post, many of them started sending me messages, making their own complaints about what they are going through based on this landlord-tenant. Some of them will pay and it wouldn't be recorded. They will have to pay. Some of them even inspecting just an apartment or a house, they have to pay for inspection. And
There's a form I know that before they won't take you to that apartment, that you get the form, you fill the form, that, okay, you're looking for a 3-bedroom flat or thereabout, that you pay for it. So don't you think there's a wake-up call that
it is.
The agents should be shown the way out?
Absolutely, because if you want to purchase even a car or you want to go to even a grocery store to buy something, you are not charged just for looking at what you want to buy or purchase.
So I shouldn't be charged for looking at the
You
house.
shouldn't be charged for looking at the house. And these are part of the loopholes we are having. And I think the government really has to play a role, especially the Commissioner for Housing, which I know Lagos State is doing very well. I think we can do better to make sure this.
You talked about in the US and Saudi Arabia, they pay rent monthly. And we do yearly here, and as the case may be. Which one is better out of the two?
For the tenants, monthly is better. But for the landlord, yearly is better. Because the landlord will want the money in bulk.
Oh, well.
So there can be lease agreements also. There are lease agreements. But we should do things that would be convenient for both landlord and tenant.
But tenants, sometimes can be a little bit problematic as well, right? So you come into a well-furnished, well-structured house, and then sometimes because I've had that experience before the person leaves the house, debunks or carbonizes the entire house before he walks away. How then does the landlord himself also get his own rights?
Yes, so I'll give myself as a practical example. When I was renting in US, I paid, there's what you call a caution fee.
Which they also do here.
They do here. Also, in addition to the caution fee, the legal system in the US is swift, is rapid. If you want eviction, once you and the tenant and the landlord, but many of them also have things relating to caretaker or agent. But once you people have an agreement, this is the date you pay, you are given 3 days. Once the case is taken to court, after 3 days, if you default, the court rules immediately. There's an expedited ruling, particularly in Ohio where I was. You can evict in 3 days. So that also favors the landlord and the caretaker. Now, in what favors the tenant is that there are also rulings on how he should pay, and that's what I said, monthly. Also, the rights of the tenant with the landlord and caretaker is that there is a clear black and white amount which he pays. So he knows it. There's nothing that is shrewd in secrecy where they have a problem.
Speaking of evicting a tenant here in Nigeria and in Lagos, right, what's the stipulated time for a landlord to evict a tenant from his house? How does that happen?
Will he be able to?
Now the truth is that I've discussed with some lawyers,
Okay.
but this stipulated time is not followed. They could say, okay, some lawyers said, okay, you have to give a month notice. Some say, okay, 6 months notice. And they give different interpretations. But we know that some tenants, immediately you give them a notice, they would stop paying rent and they'll say, go to court.
So the notice comes, is it while your rent is currently running or after the expiration of a certain,
Now, it's while the rent is running, you give the notice that, okay, notice that you will not be renewing the next rent.
Okay.
That is how a lawyer told me that this is how it's done. But we don't follow all this.
Going forward,
in Lagos State.
In just 1 minute now, going forward, what will be your advice to the government, even to tenants, landlords, and agents concerning this issue that we're having at the moment?
My advice to the government relating to the landlord, tenant, and agent is that there should be a fixed regulation where it's favorable both to the landlord, to the tenant, and the agent. So there has to be a public hearing, but also we know in this same Nigeria, especially Lagos, even when you call for public hearing where all tenants should come, landlords should come, people wouldn't show up.
we
just have to go now.
Aside the fixed regulation, there also should be enforcement of, taking into custody
time will not
anybody
permit
who
us,
is flouting laws.
Nelson, time will not permit us to continue with you, Yusuf Harun, policy analyst. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much
on the program this morning.